Hello and welcome to the London Bulls podcast with me, Tom, and as ever, my good friend KD. KD, how are you today? You doing well, mate?
I'm good to see you. Really, really excited today because we are interviewing a player who played in my first Hereford game, which I'm really excited about. So absolutely delighted.
That's incredible. Well, I think, probably one of the best left backs we've had, certainly in my era anyway. That's I can't say before, but anyway, obviously we're joined today by Alex Jeannin. Alex, hello there. How are you? You doing well?
Yeah, all good. Thank you. Nice to see you, Tom, KD. Nice to be online with you guys, and really appreciated the invite you sent me to answer a question and to talk about a club I really like and I really love to play for, and been a massive part of my career, let's say, those 2 years in Hereford. So, it's always a pleasure to to talk about this club and about the environment of the club.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly someone that Hereford fans will never forget. I think, anyone who was part of that playoff winning side, is massive in our history anyway. But we'll get cracking. So just a little bit about you, Alex. There. So you sort of started playing football, obviously in France, sort of around sort of 97, I think. Before then moving to England in about 2000. You had a few different clubs, Exeter obviously being quite a big club for you as well, before moving then on to Hereford. So how did football start for you? How did you get into it? What sort of age were you when you started playing football?
It just started at a young age. I started to play football in my hometown in Truro at the age of 5, 6 years old. Just like every kid's really. I was playing, outside in the street with all my mates, at school during breaks. So, football was everything for me. And from the age of, let's say, 13, 14 years old, I decided I wanted to go for it, to do a career. So I've done everything on my side to try to be a footballer, and I moved to Lens in the academy during 3 years, and then came back to my hometown where I started to play professional football, and then that's where it all started really, and then moved, as you said, in 2000 in England, and stayed 15 years in total in England, which I really love my time everywhere I went to, and as I said, football was everything for me, and I'm really lucky to add a little career really in football.
So I'm really glad you've pronounced your team Troyes, because I was going to say Troyes actually, so in a very English way.
Like every British, like every English people say.
So you mentioned about making your professional debut for Troyes. I mean, can you tell us a bit more about that? What was it like actually kind of stepping out onto the turf in front of loads of fans? What was that like making it?
It was amazing because the club just joined. When I came back to my hometown from Lens, I didn't want to leave Lens, but the manager at the time, Alain Perrin, who managed Portsmouth at some point in England, and Marseille and such big clubs in France. But he made me come back to Troyes when Troyes went up to Ligue 2, which is the second division in France. And the first game was Nancy at home. Nancy just came down from Ligue 1. And it was a massive game. The stadium was full. Many people were in the stand. Many friends. All of my family were there. So, and I came on 20 minutes to the end. And we won 4-2. I remember that game very well. And then it's just amazing. Just to make your professional debut with your hometown club. It's just something amazing. And I will always remember that in my life.
So on moving to England, so what was the draw for you to move? Why did you not want to stay in France?
Well, at some point I arrived without any clubs, I stayed about 5-6 months without clubs. So I was training with my hometown at the time. I was without job, and then I met a French agent who was working a lot in England, and he said to me like, oh, there's maybe some possibilities in Division 2, Division 3, at the time, that was Division 2, Division 3, Division 4. And I said, yeah, no problem, why not, And that's how it happened. I went on trial at Rotherham at the time, and everything was well. And at the end of the week trial, I was due to play a game, and I broke my humerus at training. I jumped over people and came back with a plaster in France, and I was like, "Oh my God, all the nightmares, going again." But then I moved to Darlington after that, and then that was the start of my journey in England. So yeah, I joined Darlington and really enjoyed my time there. And after that, as you said, I played with many different clubs. But now that's how it happened, because I was out of job, and obviously the opportunity to move to England, where there is so many professional clubs compared to England, compared to France, because in France there's only two professional league. And then yeah, that's how it happened. And I really enjoyed it, at first, because I signed for 6 months in Darlington, and just to see like how it was going to be, and I really enjoyed it. And then after that, after I think like 2-3 months, I signed another contract, another 2 years contract. So that's why I decided to stay a bit longer.
You instantly regret your move, Alex, when you saw the English weather, because I can imagine it is very different from the continent.
To be fair, but the weather in my hometown is not really different than the British one. Bit more rain in England, I will say, but it's definitely colder here east of France.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously Darlington. You went on trial at Rotherham, not exactly the most glamorous of places to visit when you first come to England, but you obviously eventually ended up at Exeter, who probably quite a similar size at the time to what Hereford were, and not too far in, you you get obviously that FA Cup draw, the dream draw, to play Manchester United. I mean, what goes through your mind when that draw comes out and that you've pulled one of the big clubs of not just British football but European football as well?
No, obviously it was a massive draw for the club, and especially Exeter at the time had a bit of a difficult time in the financial year, So, that draw was just like, amazing for the club. And I remember like having a good run with the team, beating Doncaster, I think, before the third round draw, and which they were in League One, I think, at the time. And then yeah, the draw happened, and I remember I was at home with a couple of friends, couple of teammates who were living next to Exeter. And then we saw the draw going, and it was Tony Cascarino taking the away balls, and all the big ones like Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City, all out, I said, oh no, it's not going to be happening today. And then I remember, like, Manchester United came out, and I think we had the number 66 or 69, I can't remember already. Anyway, I was in my head, I said, come on, Tony, 66, And then he just came out, 66, Exeter City, and then just like, just shouting in a room with all my teammates and stuff, and then the phones start ringing and all calling each other and stuff, and obviously it was massive, because obviously I really think like this draw, between the two legs, saved the clubs of Exeter, because the financial situation was not so great there at the time. So obviously, bringing 10,000 fans in Manchester, the replay on BBC One, and all the money came out of this draw, saved the club. So I think all the fans appreciate that. I went back like a couple of years ago, in Exeter, and all the fans who recognized me, really, respectful for what we did for the club, and that run saved the club, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, what's that like, when you go back to Exeter, Hereford, obviously, where you are probably, you are recognised by the fans, and you do, and it's not to try and make you feel too old here, Alex, but obviously quite a few years later, and you're still so well thought of, not just you personally, but those teams that you played in. What does that? How does that feel when you come back?
No, it's a good feeling, just to feel that you've done something good for the town, for the community, for the fans, it just appreciated, to get something in return, and just like, to talk to people, they can recognize you and say, oh, Alex, it was nice to see you, and I really like watching you and things like that. It just like it just makes you feel good, and really appreciate the time when I spent, at the club and with the fans, talking about all the years, as you said, even if it was a few years back now, and but no, yeah, it's always feeling good, just to think like, you've done something well for them, and then just like, to talk about it, it's just good.
Mhm.
Who
And what was it? Sorry.
who are you marking in both games? Against
Right. So, in Manchester United, the team was a bit, not the first team, I would say, but I had Chris Eagle at first, which was quite lively, at the time. It was a very tricky winger and stuff. And obviously they don't do so well. And then I remember like being on the opposite side of the dugout, around 70th minute. And I had a throw to take. And then I heard like all the crowd like going mad, like, oh, like massive noise. And I was like, what's going on? And I look at the dugout there. I was like, Ronaldo, Rooney, and Scholes coming on. I was like, oh my God. And I was absolutely fucked. And I said to my left, winger, I said, you have to come help me, He said, oh. So, Alex, I said, let's try to smash him first ball. And then like, he's probably not going to fancy it, And I remember he caught him like in 50-50. And then like he was not happy at all. And then he just went mad at him, And after that, it was a bit quiet. And in the second round, I had Ronaldo and Giggs, like, switching side, So yeah, it's just good to to play against those kind of players, even if it was just only over 2 games, but to play in those kind of stadiums with 70,000 people there, and to play against one of the best players in the world, just like amazing.
Do you appreciate their skill even more when you're right up against them? Like, can you just see that difference with those elite level players compared to watching it on TV when you're actually like right up against them?
Yeah, it doesn't make much difference, when we enter the Old Trafford Stadium, you just forget about everything, you're just thinking about the game, focusing on the game. You don't even see those 70,000 people there, It's just like you just seeing the pitch. And obviously, when Ronaldo came on, you knew who he was, but it's just like you had to do a job there, So and you just concentrate on your job to do, and just to play the right way, So it just doesn't make any difference playing against teenage players or against Ronaldo, Really, it's just like you have to do the job,
Yeah, and obviously, eventually, you get the move to the Hereford, the big move to Hereford, and so obviously, how did that sort of come about? Obviously, I guess Graham Turner involved there, but how does a move come around anyway? But certainly to Hereford, and had you heard of Hereford much before?
It was funny because I remember playing Hereford the year before, and we played it. I think we played 3 times in about 10 days, And I remember playing Hereford away on a Tuesday night, like in a winter day. It was like so dark and wet and windy and stuff. And I just saw and I was like, oh my God, and it was a difficult game, obviously. But I was saying, oh God, it's a difficult place to go, and, everything's dark, and then obviously the next year, I'm signing for Hereford, I was not expecting that at all, But no, yeah, I remember I was out at the end of the season with a couple of lads in Exeter, just having like an evening dinner or something, and the phone rang with a number I didn't know, and it was John Trewick, the assistant manager, calling me, and then just like saying, "Oh, what are you doing next season?" and stuff. And obviously, I wanted to stay in Exeter, but Exeter, with the financial situation, was not so good. They couldn't offer me the contract I wanted, and because I wanted to stay longer. I wanted to stay for 3 years, and they were able to offer me 1-year contract. So, that's why we separated way. And then, so I said to John, I said, well, listen, I got a couple of clubs already around me and stuff. And so he told me about Hereford, about, the way he wants to play and stuff. And he said, do you want to come up like this week to meet the manager? I said, yeah, why not? I said, I'd say quite a long way, but it doesn't matter. I said, okay. So, and then obviously I came up during the week and met with John and with Graham, and we discussed a little bit further and stuff, and then I agreed to join here for 2 years. That's how it happened, really, just like simple as that.
It's obviously not quite like Old Trafford behind me and Tom in the pictures, but what was your initial impressions when you got to Hereford? And then I know you said you had it was wet and windy when you played there, but when you actually got around into the city and then got to know people at the club, what were your initial impressions at first?
My first impression, as I said to you, on a Tuesday night on a winter day was not very great. I was not expecting to go there one day, or even for 2 years, But no, yeah. When I remember when I went to meet Graham, it was a sunny day. It's quite nice, and I think they were starting to the grass again, and he showed me around and stuff. I was still not very impressed, by the stands and everything, But he was telling me what's the next level, he would like to go and what he would like to expect from me and from the team. He said next season will be the season we will go up and it will be massive for the club and stuff. All that kind of talk and discussion we could have, And to be fair, what really made the difference is the way Graham wanted to play, very attacking football, play football on the ground. And that's I really wanted to play, So that made that difference, I would say. So, and then when I ran around when I arrived to the city, very friendly people all around, I lived right in the city center, not far from Saxtys. I know you're going to mention that a little bit later. And, I was walking up to the ground and seeing many people, when I go to training and stuff and discuss with different people about games during the weekend and stuff. And, I really like the atmosphere. It was nice and, and genuine people, around. And, I really enjoyed my time, and I still have good friends around the city. So.
So we're in an interesting position as a club at the moment because we're part-time and most of the players train around Birmingham and don't live in Hereford anymore. But how important is it, do you think, that players live in the city that they play for? Do you think that made a difference with the team that you lived in Hereford? Did it create togetherness at all? Or?
Yeah, we still had some players traveling 2.5 hours. I remember John Brady and Stacey Caldicott traveling nearly 3 hours from Northampton every morning. I was like, God, what's going on? But that surprised me when I moved to Darlington. When I moved to England at first. Because in France, even if you move from, example, Troyes to Paris, which is an hour and a half. You're moving to Paris. You're moving to the city that you play for. Everybody with, the family, the kids, and everything. You not stay. You don't leave the family behind you. So when I arrived to England, and I was like some players living in Leeds and Newcastle and the furthest I think was Leeds, but it was something like 2 hours, driving and stuff, And I was like, how come you're not moving around? You're not moving into the city. So no. In England, we stay where we are, and then after that, we communicate to different city. So oh God, that's different, lifestyle. I would say. And but yeah, in Hereford, I think we had few players living in the city. Some of them were coming from outside, but let's say 70% of the players were living in a city or just around the city. And then it was good for the team togetherness, and we were having some nights out together and some good banters and stuff. And I think the difference in a good year and a very good year, such as promotion and stuff, it's just the togetherness you can have in a squad, and we did definitely have these kind of things in Hereford, so it helped us to win the promotion.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, we mentioned Saxtys. I think you may have spent a fair bit of time fair bit of time in there. But was that was that sort of your favourite? Over and above Edgar Street, was that your favourite place in Hereford?
Yeah, no, it was. No, I really enjoyed there. I've been very professional in my career. I've never been out before a game or 2 days before a game or something. But I really, had to enjoy my time after a game. I really like to go out, having a few drinks and stuff, and obviously living like 100 yards from Saxtys, it did help a little bit, So,
Maybe.
and then now I enjoy the people there. I make friends with the manager there at the time. And then obviously, spend a bit of time there, a bit of fun, a bit of laugh, with some players and people around the city. And no, it was good atmosphere. I don't know if you went there, guys, a few times, but no, the atmosphere was good, and so yeah, that was my part of the city. I was not going down to the other part. That was part of Greeny, the Ryan Green.
Yeah.
That was his territory.
Yeah, I've heard stories about Guy Pua as well in Saxtys. So
I know where you're coming, Tom.
But we won't push you any further on those. But so obviously, you come into that Hereford side. We'd been in the playoffs for the previous 2 years. We know we've probably got another good team here. What was it like in that team? What impressed you about that team? Because as obviously we know that it ended up in that promotion, and also in terms of the manager, Graham Turner, obviously a Hereford legend. But what did he, how did you get over the line? Do you think that season?
No, as I said, the relationship we had between players, I think it made a massive difference. Obviously, we had some quality, some very good people around the pitch, We had a good squad, 16, 17 players. But I mean, the togetherness we had, I think, we knew what we were able to do, what we were capable to beat any team. And I think that made a difference, because we were so confident in our play, and even in a playoff final, I remember we were pretty sure to win it, even if we were 1-0 down, after 20, 25 minutes. But in my head, I had no doubt that we were going to win it, So and I'm pretty sure every player had this in mind, So I think the spirit of the team, made the difference. We had an amazing mindset also, we were working hard at training, and obviously, the experience of Graham, on top of that with John, make a big difference, also. So I think all of that, it's the cocktail of the promotion,
What was Graham's leadership style like? Was he like an inspirational speaker in the changing room? Like, how would he motivate players?
He didn't have much to say, really. But the less he was saying, it just it was getting into your head, really. He had those kind of words, a couple of words for you and stuff. Sometimes, in a rough way, if you were not right. But no, yeah, he was a guy who was not talking a lot, but the only way he was talking, was the right way, let's say. And obviously, we had all those players had lots of respect for him, which obviously it's a big part also, to successful squad.
It's 19 years ago now, Alex.
Sorry?
19 years ago, that game.
I know, yeah. Yeah, we're going to
scary
work
is
for the 20th anniversary. I hope we're going to get a reunion soon. And the last reunion we had was at Ep.30 testimonial.
Yes, of course.
We saw a couple of faces there and stuff. And so obviously, on the 20th anniversary, I hope the club could do something and do a nice meeting up, let's say. So that would be good.
But
time is flying, Katie, Can see on my beard, it's all grey now.
Do you stay in touch with players from that era?
A little bit, Guy, obviously, we're still talking, on a regular basis. But obviously, some players, just a couple of words, on Facebook and stuff, and not so much, but yeah, a few of them. But it's nice to see what people are doing now, and stuff, and. But yeah, we have to stay in contact with some of them.
Yeah. What was it like? Obviously, you've moved from Exeter. What was it like then having to go back to Exeter? I mean, obviously, I know you scored on Sky Sports. Great free kick against Exeter. What is it like going back to play your team, and what's it like scoring against them as well?
What's good. I remember having, receiving a bit of sticks, from the fans, every time I was touching the ball, because obviously the fans there really liked me also, I really wanted me to stay, and they didn't know the end of the story already, the end of the story, sorry, that the club couldn't offer me, the contract, I really wanted, because I wanted to stay in a long time, and obviously they really thought I was gone for something else, for the money, or, I didn't want to stay at the club and stuff. So I think that's, that played a part, on the sticks I received, during the game. And then obviously the free kick arrived, I just couldn't celebrate, but no, yeah, I was happy, because that there was a massive win for us, and because Exeter was one of the pretenders, for the playoff spots, and obviously it was a massive, I think it was a massive win there in Exeter. I think it was around not far of December time or something.
Mm-hmm. I think it was,
So yeah, no, it was December time, right? Because it was on my birthday as well. It's on my birthday, and I was scoring on Sky and against my old club. So yeah, no, it was amazing day for me. But no, yeah, it was a big win for us to get over the playoff position.
Live on Sky Sports as well. Do you ever watch that goal?
Yeah, I think I had the video. It was still in the video, it was not even like. I think I still have the video somewhere, maybe at my parents or something. Yeah, but no, I watched it a few times. I think you can find it online also, on YouTube and stuff. But no, yeah, it was a good free kick, even if we messed it up a little bit with Jimmy Pittman at first, because he put it the ball where I didn't want it to be, So at first I was going to strike it, and I said to him, just put it just there, So I put my feet on the floor. I said, I want it there, and he put it like nearly a yard left of it, So I had to stop my run, and you can see on video, and then I had to curve it, and then finish it top end, top bin. But no, yeah, it was a nice free kick. I think I didn't score many for Hereford, but yeah, one of the best, I would say.
Yeah, and so obviously that season again, we'll get to the playoff final. Were there big moments during that season that you thought there were turning points, or that they were big moments? Obviously that Exeter game, as you say, because they were always a tough team to play anyway. But were there moments during that season where you thought, after a certain game, or that we could do this here?
I think every game in conference, it's tough to win, and then all the win is good to get, But I'm pretty sure that game in Exeter, was massive part of the promotion, because if I remember well, we went above them after that game, and getting on to the following year, after the 30th of December, I think that made a massive part, of the second part of the season. So. Over the night, I don't really remember much of the different games, but I think that Exeter game was a massive part of the rest of the season.
Obviously made the playoffs, and we've touched on bits of that, but we had a thrilling 2-leg game against Morecambe. The way we won that second leg was unbelievable, and that was my first game where I saw you. What was it like in between?
I nearly fucked that up there, giving a penalty.
So I blame you, Alex, for loving the club. But what was it like in between winning the Morecambe 2 legs and the Leicester game? What was that kind of week like? Was there a bit of nervousness in training? Were you all excited because of the manner of the win? What was the kind of mindset of the group?
I'm pretty sure, I don't really remember the training, between those games, but, as I said, the attitude, at training and stuff was just amazing. We were just enjoying to train, with each other, because the quality of training was so good, you could see like the quality of, small side of game we are doing, even if we are doing some tactical stuff with Graham and John, everything was spot on, I would say. So I'm pretty sure, we were very confident over those games, Even in Morecambe, I think, if I remember well, we deserved to win, by 2 or 3 goals, And then after that, the week before the final, just like, normal week, I would say, and just like going training every day, having the same routine of training Monday, Tuesday, rest on Wednesday, training Thursday, Friday, and then off to Leicester, on the same day. So it just nothing changed. I don't think so. I don't think, we were so nervous or anything like that, we just like concentrate, and we knew, that was going to be our season.
What were the celebrations like after the Leicester game? Was it Saxtys again? Or?
I was drunk when I left the stadium. And not only me, I would say, I remember like we were drinking so much, like, champagne and beers in a changing room and stuff, all the bottles were flying around and stuff. The happiness was just crazy, because you could feel some of the players were there, for a long time, such as Purge, Jemo and Pete and all the players like that, that it was massive for the club, to get that promotion back into the football league, and then, just the happiness in the changing room was just amazing, and, we went upstairs also to the bars where all our friends and family were there, and had a few drinks again. And I remember like going into the couch to go back to Hereford, and I was like, God, I'm drunk. and then we went. No, I think we went all together. We didn't go to Saxtys. We went to what's it called? The other night clubs. I can't remember. Down to by the train station. I can't remember where it was. Anyway, so we went all there with our tracksuit on and stuff, and it was just amazing because the nightclub was full of fans and stuff, and crazy night.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think one of my best memories of the playoff final was when we lifted the trophy, and then you got hold of it and sprinted over towards the Hereford fans and did you do a knee slide or something in front of the Hereford fans?
I never run so quick,
Yeah, I wish you'd done that in the game.
I think that's the quickest I ran ever, And I think I had crumbs after, I was like, I was shattered. But no, yeah, I don't know why, just like a moment of craziness coming through your head, and stuff, and just wanted to celebrate with all the fans, came to Leicester, and no, that was part of the celebration, I would say,
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously then we're in the Football League. What was that like for you with that Hereford side? Again, sort of starting left back. How was there a big step up in terms of the quality that you were playing against, or actually was it not too bad and you felt like you could cope?
Well, it was not too bad. I think we still had the team, to play easily in League Two or maybe in League One, because the quality of players we had around, was just amazing, For me personally, I received my 10th booking on a player final, so I was suspended for the first 3 games of the season. So it's absolutely killed my season. I remember the manager signing Chris Giles from, I think it was from Cardiff, or something like that, or one of the, and he's done well at left back. So, I just didn't play for a while. And then after that came on into the team back in September or October time, and then I had a good run. I think I had player of the month in October or November, I can't remember. And then after that, just like stop all of a sudden, which I really understand, and went to see Graham a couple of times, and they really gave me a good explanation of what was happening. But yeah, that was a tough time, really, because you're training hard, you just want to play, and then coming to the weekend, you're not playing. So yeah, there was a second part of the season quite difficult for me because I really wanted to test myself in League Two and to be part of the promotion. The year before, obviously, I just wanted to be part of that team again, but no, it didn't happen.
You have to mention a personal highlight, which was hitting the crossbar on the Crossbar Challenge on Soccer AM. I think at the time it was the world record on Soccer AM. I think we joint matched with, I think we got 3 in total, didn't we? I think Tamika Kandawari, Cliff Thompson hit one. But I mean, tell us through the technique, talk us through that, Alex. I mean,
no, that was funny because so we were all there like talking and obviously having some banters and stuff with the Sky Sport people and stuff, and then all the players having a few goals, before to try. And then me, I was just there sitting on the ball, and then I can't remember who it was. I think it was Purge. Saying like, "Oh, Frenchie, you're not trying, you're not having one." I said, Per, do you know me? I just need one, you know. And then obviously I just hit one and I hit the crossbar. So that's why they were all gutted. I was like, oh, fuck, you know, that French like again. So yeah, no, that was good, you know. We had a good fun there. And then yeah, it was three of us like, you know, hitting the bar. It was one of the record, I think, was the top performance, I would say. But no, yeah, it was good fun, you know. Really, it was you know, one of the biggest show, you know, let's say on TV, you know, Soccer AM, and to be part of it and to hit the crossbar, obviously, you know, was just something special.
Yeah, there's more media attention getting into the Football League, and how did you find that difference in quality between the Conference and League Two? Did you notice a big difference?
No, not much. Obviously,
Really?
a bit more, you know, a bit more like, you know, let's say journalists, a bit more press, you know, a bit more video on TV, you know, talking a bit more about League Two than Conference, you know, but generally, no, not a big difference.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and obviously, so you talked about, you know, obviously your game time, your not quite getting the games that you want. Is that essentially what led to you leaving at the end of that season? Was that you needed more game time?
Yeah, you see, you know, I didn't really understand, you know, because I was doing well and stuff, and I remember like that game at Shrewsbury, you know, and I think Graham told me like, you know, I gave a tackle to Asamoah, was one of their right winger, was very dangerous, and then it just like the atmosphere went crazy because it was a bad tackle, and he said, oh, from that point, you know, all the fans were against us and stuff, and you know, you should have done that, and I said, oh, it's only a tackle, Graham, you know, and stuff, and then from there, you know, I just like didn't play, you know, really. So, you know, as I said, you know, I didn't really understand because, you know, I think, you know, I was good enough to be part of that team and to play a good part of the season. But no, yeah, that's how it ended, you know. And then obviously we part way at the end of my contract. But again, you know, just like Exeter, you know, I was going to see myself a bit more in Hereford because I really enjoy like, you know, spending time in town and people around. You know, as I said, you know, I got a few friends in a city, and I really enjoyed it, you know, with the fans and the atmosphere and all the relationship I had with different people. Obviously, I just wanted to stay a bit longer, but no, it didn't happen.
You obviously moved to different clubs after that, and then you've obviously gone into a new career now. But what do you kind of still follow Hereford now? I mean, do you keep tabs of the results and things like that? And have you been back to the city since you've left?
No, yeah, obviously, yeah, of course, you know that. That's what I do, you know. When I look at the result on my phone, you know, I look at all my different clubs, you know, and then Hereford, obviously, I can see it's a difficult start of the season for now, you know, but no, yeah, it's definitely you know, on my list to look at, you know, what they're doing, you know, who scored, or even like going on Boost News, you know, looking at the crowd, you know, how many people were there and stuff, and. As I said, you know, it's been a special club for me, you know, just to spend a bit of time on my career. So, and I really enjoyed to come back, you know. I came back a few times, you know, to see some friends, and then obviously for the Ep.30 testimonial. So no, I really like to come back. You know, it's a nice part of UK.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we're glad that you were obviously happy in Hereford itself, and that you love coming back, and that you still keep tabs on it. So no, that's great. So when it's always tough, footballer. It's never a long career in terms of overall, but you know, when you come to retire, what's that decision like? How do you come about making that decision, and how do you feel about that?
Well, I spent my last season in the league with Mansfield, and obviously I had a good season, but it didn't happen with the new manager, David Holdsworth, and I only signed 1 year there. So you know, after that I was released, and I was looking for a new chapter of my career, and I was 32 at the time, you know, and I was back down to Exeter, you know, to live, in Turkey actually, because my ex-girlfriend was living there at the time, and I didn't know what to do. You know, I had a few phone calls from clubs, and you know, didn't really happen and stuff. And my lots of my ex-teammates in Exeter were playing for Truro at the time in Conference South, and they were spending a bit of money on time. And then you know, the manager called me and said like, "Oh, Alex, we're going on tour in Wales. If you want to go with us, you know, you're more than welcome. They give you some match fitness, and you can see the atmosphere and team, and if you're happy with it, we can maybe sign a contract. I say, yeah, why not? Let's go. And then went there. First friendly game on an artificial pitch. I received a tackle. I broke my leg. Double fracture, and that's how it really stopped. Because I didn't play for 1 year. I had 2 operations because what they'd done in Wales was not so great. I remember coming back in France and saw my surgeon. He said, like, why did they do that? They put me like an external fixation. It was like a massive metal bar like on top of your legs and stuff. It was just awful to watch anyway. And I said, so why? It's no good. He said, no, they knew you were a footballer, so that was not the right things to do, So I had to do another operation 3.5 months after I broke my leg. So obviously my season was over, so I didn't play for 1 year. So I turned 33, and then after that, Truro decided to sign me. They said like because what happened and stuff. So that's how I stepped down to semi-professional football, and then I started working a little bit, for Pro Direct Soccer and the online website, and then that's how I finished my professional career. I would say was against my decision, let's say, because I'm pretty sure I had another 3-4 years, I would say, to give a full time, but obviously not playing a full year, total full year after a year of injury, was just too difficult, so that's how I came back. I arrived in part-time football, play for Truro, and after that, Weymouth. So always in Southwest because, I was based in Turkey, and then a couple of clubs around Turkey, and then that's how I finished it.
It sounded like a tough ending, really. I mean, having that injury, that sounded really tough to kind of deal with. What was your, I know you're a scout now. How did that kind of happen? Were you keen on doing that as a player?
But the thing is, like, I went on to work as a key account manager, from Pro Direct Soccer. I moved on to work in Qatar for a Qatari sport brand with a French team around me, and stuff. And then moved to Dubai after that to work for Under Armour, the American sport brand, always as a key account manager. I was still involved in football because I was still playing in amateur league around, in Dubai and in Doha, which was some good quality also, was quite nice. So I went up playing until 38, something, but good level, good level amateur league. And then after that, I had this opportunity to come back in France, which I never really expected because I was gone for like nearly 20 years and didn't really come back to France. But the only reason, is just to come back and to work into football. So it was one of my wish, at the end of my career, I would like to work in football. I didn't know what I was going to do. So yeah, the opportunity to come back and in such a club like Paris Saint-Germain, you couldn't turn it down. So I come back to France and start to work for PSG before moving to Lyon, and then now Red Star Belgrade. So yeah, the years like going very quickly, and then it's been now 7-8 years that I've been back to France.
Yeah, some of the players that when you were at Lyon, Lacazette, Shaqiri, came into that.
I'm not involved into Shaqiri signing though.
Definitely not, no.
No. Alex, but Alex Lacazette, well, not Shaqiri, no. But I was part of the team, let's say, but it was more a decision of the sporting director at the time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, spotting talent like that is especially when they go on to have a career like they both have. But what were they like as guys? When you sort of spoke to them, certainly Alex. What sort of did you sort of know at that time, not just in terms of talent, but in terms of his mindset, in terms of the type of person that he is, that he would go on to have a fantastic career?
Well, we knew Alex, for a long time, and then obviously, the project for him was to come back into his main club, which was Lyon, before to move to Arsenal. So just to come back, to be a part of the next project, it was easy for us to convince him, because he was end of contract in Arsenal. He had many offers on the table. And then obviously, to sign back to Lyon was just just a matter of project to show him on the table and just like to discuss a bit more with him. But not to discuss with those kind of players, it's just great, just top level football, and you have to discuss with agents also, with entourage of people, families sometimes, parents, and obviously players, So it's just great, it's just good. It's a good job to be in, and obviously I really enjoyed it,
Alex, we are looking for a striker at the club. So you do think you could recommend him a certain West Midlands football team as looking for a striker? We'd be more than happy to take it.
If I find something, I'll let you know, guys.
Yeah, please do.
What does like a day in the life of a scout look like? Are you just out all day watching matches or watching replay games on TV and stuff like
that? But since now, I've been now working just over 3 months for Red Star Belgrade, and it was in the middle of the transfer window, and then obviously, I started just before June, I would say, and it was just profile of players to watch every day, and then for about 2 months, I watched around 250 players. So it's 250 players to watch and to make reports, and it just, the amount of work is just crazy. But no, it's lots of work, it's lots of video, as you said, lots of traveling after that during the weekend to watch games all around. Like my last weekend, I was in Le Mans in the center of France, came back to my hometown Troyes to watch the next day Troyes Saint-Etienne. After that, on a road to go to north of France to watch Boulogne Saint-Etienne. The next day I was in Belgium to watch a game and to follow with Lille Monaco to end up the weekend. So, you're just doing in 3 days, you nearly do 1,000 kilometers, and then watching 5 games, and then I came back at 2 o'clock in the morning at mine, So it's a tough work, but really enjoyable, but it's difficult. Yeah, it's not that easy, but that's something I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Are you able to bust a myth for me? Is it true scouts use Football Manager, the PC game, to also look for players?
No, there is a lot of them. Yeah, there is a lot
really?
of them coming from Football Manager. Yeah, I know some of them. Some of them never play football. I don't know how they, they're right there, but some of them, because they have a good recognition on Football Manager, and they became scouts. Yeah.
Incredible. So what so as a scout, then what? Obviously, you have a certain, Belgrade, for example, need a certain player, want a certain player. But what do you look for when you're looking at players? What sort of qualities do you look for?
Well, great football player has got to be good tactically, physically, technically nowadays. Mentally, obviously. So you have to look at all those points. But what I'd like to see is a good first touch. First touch never lie. As we say, the attitude also. And that's why it's good to be in a stadium to look at the situation where the ball is off the player, so you can see his attitude, or you can see his attitude at halftime, or when he's coming off, or when he's coming on, when he's warming up. Everything's like that. All those kind of little details, will help you to have a good understanding of the players and the report to make on him. So everything is good to look. I sometimes trying to get to the stadium when the bus arrive, just to see the players coming out of the bus and what is his attitude. Is he talking? Is he listening to music? What is he doing? Is he, is he blanking people who are trying to talk to him? Or all those kind of little details, can give you a good picture of the mentality and the mindset of the players.
So interesting, because I always get frustrated when players ignore fans, but I didn't know it goes to that granular detail where scouts are literally at the bus, like watching people.
No. As I said, you have to look at every little details that can help you to understand the players, because it's now a new generation, as guys. It's totally different than the football 20 years ago. Football moved on, and the generation also, it's a totally different mindset and attitude, so everything we can add into our report, is good to get, even those little details, it's very important sometimes.
We meet a lot of those traits, don't we? Is there still hope for us? Maybe.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, we've got a few fan questions for you. So we had quite a few, but again, just so many fans talking about it. They weren't particularly asking questions. Actually, a lot of the time it was just how much they remember you playing and with fondness. And I think personally, I remember because I used to sit in the main stand, and so obviously on that left, when you're at left back, just remember you sort of being quite attacking. Obviously, great tackle, great defender, but you loved to get down that pitch, run down that pitch. So I think it's interesting whether you look for that in some of the players that you are looking at now. But yeah, say such a lot of love for you, and obviously Saxtys was mentioned a few times. But what so what has been the best moment of your career, do you think?
The best moment of my career, I would say my debut in professional. We talked before, my first game in my hometown, in front of my family and my friends. And obviously that playoff promotion, playoff game, just crazy that year, the run of FA Cup with Exeter,
Yeah.
So no, yeah, those three things I would say, it's been part of my career. Yeah.
This question is: did you have a particular player you modelled your game off? Were there any other left backs that you?
I really liked Maldini.
Okay.
In AC Milan, for me was just an example of professionalism, attitude. Playing for 15, 20 years for the same club. Just something amazing, and it was just such a gentleman. Also, very very good players. And I think Maldini, I really like that kind of players.
Yeah, and so obviously when you were at Hereford, certainly that first season, you had Guy, who obviously is French as well. And so, did you sort of? I know you've talked. Obviously, you still speak to him now, but did you have quite a good relationship at the time, being obviously both French speakers? Did you ever have to sort of help each other on the pitch? I don't know what your English was like at the time. Yours might have been all right, but did you sort of have to help each other through certain times?
I know where you're coming from. No, yeah. Guy was just he's still a very good friend of mine, and he was speaking better English than me at the time, I would say. And then obviously to have a French speaker, together, even if we were not trying to speak too much French, just by respect of all the squad, but no, we were getting together, we are always speaking in French, and then we had a few nights out, and then obviously I had to help him one night to get back home. It was we still laugh about it, because that night was just one of the craziest nights ever, and just to tell you, I remember it was Truro away, and then Guy scored that day. We won that game, and then we said, oh, let's go out tonight. And then obviously Truro to Hereford was a long way back, but we were back on time, just a good time to get out, and then we were having food always, on fish and chips or something, on the bus and stuff. And then Guy didn't eat at all. And I said, Guy, get something to eat. We're going to go straight out and stuff. And he said, no, I'm not hungry and stuff. And then that night, obviously, it was just a big celebration. And I don't know, it just happened that we were drinking a lot. and then, Guy, we were not a big drinker, obviously. And I remember I was a bit further down the street to Saxtys, and I was talking with people, and I saw my phone ringing, and I saw Guy. So I started talking French, and it was an English guy on the phone. I said, oh, Alex, I said, you should come in front of Saxtys. I said, Guy, he's in trouble. I said, what? So and then obviously I arrived, and then Guy was in bad state, and I was like, oh my God. And you see the physical of Guy, and it's just like, even to walk like 100 meters to mine, how can we do that? So I called Ryan Green, and then I said, Greeny, come and help me, because Greeny was out on the other side of the town. So Greeny came there, and it was just like, for like half an hour, we just couldn't stop laughing because Guy couldn't stand up. And then I remember, like, from Saxtys to mine, it took us about an hour or so because we stopped and you just laughed. And we were just crying with Greeny because it was just so funny, just the way it was and stuff. And because he didn't have, big habitude of drinking. And then that night, we had a bit of drinks. And then obviously, knowing the manager of Saxtys, he was giving us some drinks on the side and stuff, some shots and stuff. And then that night was just the funniest night ever, yeah. And I remember, like, taking him to my bedroom, and he just like slumped on the bed and I slept until the next morning.
You sound like very legendary nights. Very
it was good. So it was the only time I had to help him already. I gave him some assists also on the pitch, but it was a bit different.
Yeah. I think nights like that and memories are so important, aren't they? Because they just help create that team bond and chemistry and that togetherness we talked about.
As I said, the team bonding in the team, I remember one night out also, we had a fancy dress night out. And it was just amazing. It was just so funny, like, walking into the pub, like, one by one and stuff, and seeing all the fancy dress, and just amazing. So no, the team bonding was excellent in the team.
I had another question from Alistair Scott. He said, "What is the best player you ever played against in your career?" But you can't choose any of the Man United team you played against. Who's the best team? Who's the best player you've played against?
I played against Trezeguet.
Oh, wow, nice.
In France, yeah, because when I was playing for Racing Paris before to move to England, we played in the French Cup against Monaco. And that game was in Stade de France in '99, a year after we won the World Cup. So not much player played actually in the Stade de France at the time. And then us, Racing Paris, we were in 3rd division, and we signed a contract with Stade de France. If we were promoted to the 2nd division, we were playing in Stade de France. And during the season, we had a good run in the French Cup, and we played Monaco. And we played a game in Stade de France, and Trezeguet played. Julie also, Ludovic Julie, played for Barcelona after, right winger, was quite quick and quite tough, to play against. But yeah, no. I think those two from Monaco, I would say, probably. Yeah.
Not bad players, are they? So we had a question from Peter Smith. Just if you had your time again in football, is there anything that you do differently?
In life you don't have to do regrets. If you have regrets, that's not so good. But I would. It's always, when I came back in my hometown after my academy, where I started playing professional football, I started to enjoy myself there, and as I said, never ever, before a game or 2 days before a game, but, after a game, having a night out and stuff. And then obviously spending nearly 4 years in the academy when you're a teenager, having no teenager life at all, coming back in my hometown, having some easy money, and then starting to play professional football, and then everything it's easy after, in town, and going out, going around, and seeing people we don't see for a long time, enjoying yourself. But I enjoy myself a bit too much, I would say. I'm pretty sure if I didn't do those kind of little mistakes, I would have a different career and probably played a bit higher, But it didn't happen, and that's maybe one of the reasons, I didn't have a better career. But if I had to do something different, that would be that, just like to be a bit more professional when I came back to my hometown, and and maybe to have a better career.
Yeah. Well, you work for some of the biggest clubs now, PSG, Red Star Belgrade. I mean,
now, but I wish it was when I was a player,
Yeah. Well, look, you still achieved quite a bit, and obviously for us, so we're forever grateful to you for that. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today as well, Alex. We really appreciate the time that you've given us. You've some great stories in there, and we got the Gear Pure story out, so that's
I think lots of fun. We're looking for that, actually.
Yeah, definitely. But no, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the invite, and really appreciate it. And I love you. Obviously, I hope it's going to be a good season. Hopefully, Hereford will be back to where I belong, at least conference or in League Two, as soon as possible. I know it's difficult. It's a tough league, but But yeah, you never know. With the fan base behind the club, everything can happen. So hopefully, yeah, it will be a good season for you guys, and obviously, I will still look at all the results of the club, and maybe see you soon. Maybe if I'm coming around, I hope to see you, and it will be nice to catch up.
Yeah,
So, Alex,
definitely.
whether it's London, there is always a
Yeah.
beer waiting for you in Saxtys as well. So we would love to have you come back at some point.
No problem, mate.
Have a good day. Cheers.